Fandey, the witch who killed for power. A true story of murder, black magic, and execution in Malaysia. This is not just a murder story. It's a tale of ambition, black magic, and death. A politician searching for power. A woman who claimed to be a witch. And a ritual that ended in the most gruesome way imaginable. This is the true story of Mona Fandey. Chapter 1. The woman who wanted to be a star. Mona Fandey was not always known as a witch or a murderer. She was born Mazlan Ismail in 1956 in Kangar, Perlis, Malaysia. From an early age, she had a dream to become a famous singer. She moved to Kuala Lumpur, chasing her dreams with determination. In the 1980s, she recorded a pop album titled Diana. Inspired by her idol, Diana Ross. But despite her efforts, the music flopped. No fame, no fans, no success. That's when something changed inside her. She married Mohammed Mona Fandey Abdul Rahman. And together, they made a decision that would change their lives forever. If fame wasn't meant to come from music, they'd find it through mysticism. Chapter 2. Rise of a Dark Priestess. Mona reinvented herself as a Bomoh, a traditional Malaysian shaman. But unlike most Bomohs who treated illness or removed curses, Mona offered power. Real power. She claimed she could make people richer, more powerful, even invincible. She dressed flamboyantly, robes, heavy makeup, glittering jewelry. She carried herself like a queen of the occult. Her husband, Fandey, became her assistant. And together with their young helper, Jeremy Hassan, they created a terrifying image of authority and mystery. Rumors spread. Some said she kept human skulls in her home. Others whispered that she made pacts with spirits. But none of that stopped her clients, in fact. It only attracted more. And among those clients came a man whose life would end in horror. Chapter 3. The politician who wanted more. Dato Mazlan Idris was a politician from Pahang, an ambitious man, a rising figure in the ruling party. UMNO, he wanted to climb higher, possibly even become the chief minister. But in politics, especially in the 1990s, power sometimes came through strange doors. Dato Mazlan heard about Mona Fandey and her powerful magic. He approached her, asking for a ritual to help him gain more political influence and invincibility. Mona agreed for a price, RM2, 5 million. Mazlan paid RM 500, 000 in cash, plus 10 land titles as collateral. Mona told him that a sacred ritual would be held at her home, If he completed it, power would be his. But what Dato Mazlan didn't know was that he was the true offering. Chapter 4. The Night of the Ritual. It was the night of July 2nd, 1993. Dato Mazlan arrived at Mona's house in Rob, Pahang, expecting a spiritual ceremony. He was led to the bathroom. Mona told him to lie on the floor, eyes closed, and hold a flower, a symbol of purity for the ritual. He did as instructed, peaceful, trusting. Then, without warning, a parang, a traditional machete, came crashing down on his neck. Once, twice, over and over. Behind the blade was Juremi Hassan. Fandey and Mona stood nearby, watching. Blood splattered across the walls. The body was then chopped into 18 pieces, carefully arranged, and buried in a shallow, cement-covered pit in a storeroom behind the house. To them, it wasn't murder. It was a ritual. Chapter 5. A Missing Man. When Dato Mazlan didn't show up for party meetings or official events, his colleagues grew worried. He wasn't answering calls. No one had seen him. Eventually, a police report was filed. Investigations began. It didn't take long before the police traced his last known movements. And all roads led to Mona Fandey. A raid was carried out, and what the police found in that quiet home in Rob shocked the entire nation. The remains of Dato Mazlan, cut and cemented into the ground, ritual tools, photos of Mona dressed in ceremonial robes, skulls, jars filled with mysterious fluids. It was like something out of a nightmare. Chapter 6. The Trial That Froze Malaysia. In 1995, the trial of Mona Fandey, and Juremi began. It was one of the most sensational court cases in Malaysian history. The media covered every detail. The public was horrified and fascinated. Mona's behavior in court was bizarre. She smiled. She posed for cameras. She wore lipstick and glamorous clothes. When reporters shouted questions, she calmly said, "I feel good." And later, "I'll never die." Her lack of remorse made her look less like a criminal and more like a possessed woman. The defense tried to claim that Juremi acted alone, but the evidence was overwhelming. And in 1995, the verdict came down. Guilty. All three were sentenced to death by hanging. Chapter 7. The Final Years. While waiting on death row, Mona spent 7 years in Kajang prison. She never showed regret. Prison guards reported her behaving strangely, sometimes quiet, sometimes laughing, sometimes talking to herself. She continued to maintain that she had special powers. Some prisoners feared her. As the day of execution approached, the media revisited the story. Many Malaysians debated, was she just a killer, or was something more sinister behind her smile? Chapter 8. The Execution. On the early morning of November 2nd, 2001, Mona Fandey, and Juremi were led from their cells to the gallows. Before being hanged, Mona looked at the executioners and said, "Aku takkan mati, I will never die." At 5:59 a.m., the trapdoor opened, and just like that, Mona Fandey, the woman who claimed she couldn't die, was gone. Epilogue, legacy of fear. But even in death, Mona Fandey lives on. Her case remains one of the most disturbing and unforgettable stories in Malaysia. A tale of ambition, manipulation, mysticism, and murder. Today, people still claim her spirit lingers. Some say they've seen her face in prison windows. Others say her curse follows those who speak her name. Was she really just a con artist? Or did Mona Fandey truly make a pact with something darker? That's for you to decide. The end. If you enjoyed this true horror story, don't forget to subscribe for more real-life nightmares.